Welcome to the Construction Disruption Podcast, where we uncover the future of design, building, and remodeling.
I'm Todd Miller of Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building materials, and today my co-host on the show is the illustrious, the infamous Mr. Ryan Bell. How you doing today, Ryan?
Hey, Todd, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Why did the tomato blush? Oh, he's thinking. He's heard this before.
I think I have, but I have no idea.
Because it saw the salad dressing.
Oh, good one. I have one for you, actually.
Ka-ching. Okay, what you got?
Why do people who live in Greece hate waking up at dawn?
So I'm now thinking it has to have something to do with Dawn dishwashing detergent. Oh, I don't know. What is it?
Well, dawn is tough on Greece.
Greece. Oh, geez. Good one. Good one. Well, very good. Are we ready to delve into today's show?
Yes, let's get started.
So I will remind our listeners, we are doing challenge words on this episode where each Ryan and I, and also our guest, yet to be named, has accepted a challenge word that we are challenged to work into the conversation. So you, the audience, can be listening for any peculiar words or phrases we might use. And at the end, we will tell you whether or not you guessed our challenge word, or maybe we just won't even be able to work them in at all. I don't know. Let's go. So today we're going to delve into something that for most folks is hopefully inevitable, retirement. You may be young enough that you think retirement is so far off in the distance, or you may be closer to that age and maybe you're starting to give it some serious thought. Whatever your situation is, retirement, I hope, is going to be in your future. So let's discuss how it might impact you and how you can prepare for it. To that end, we are thrilled to have Shawn Maloney as our guest today. Shawn is the president and founder of RetireWise, a company dedicated to helping individuals and families navigate the complexities of retirement planning. With a wealth of experience and a mission to empower people for their financial futures, Shawn brings unique perspectives and practical advice to the table today. So Shawn, welcome to Construction Disruption.
Hey guys, appreciate you having me on. Glad to be here.
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how it influenced you to start RetireWise back, I think, in January 2020, just about 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, right? I graduated from college, got, the typical finance degrees, all that kind of jazz. Got a job with a firm, and it wasn't quite what I ended up wanting it to be. I'm going to get back to that in just a second in this story, right? Life happens. My dad was getting transferred. I ended up having to take a job doing other things, right? So go on for a few years. I was still in the financial space. But later on, I was able to find myself back into the realm where I wanted to be. But if I go really far back, it all starts back, believe it or not, back in the 8th grade when I was doing this stock market game. Back then, before the internet, right? Actually use paper and, tracked it. And that got me hooked. And then so I made my way through my career and, I kind of found that purpose really young, at a young age, and was really driven by that. And I found my way into working with some firms that, really fit my style better. That first firm I worked for was more of the big Wall Street side that kind of told you what to do with quotas and all that kind of jazz. And then, so I did that. I've been doing it for, over 20 years, and then founded my company in 2020, really from the standpoint of wanting to focus in on retirement planning. And what we really shifted our whole focus back in after 2008, when everything went haywire, right? And people, were not prepared for that, and we're devastated with their retirement. So we're very passionate about making sure people are prepared, can wade through those things, don't find themselves in a conundrum with retirement.
Very good. Interesting. Cool stuff. Well, tell us a little bit about your typical client. And I know you're based in Atlanta. Are you working with clients from all over or focused more there locally? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we work with everybody. Obviously, we're located in northeast of Atlanta. We love working with people local, but we do have clients all over the country. We do things virtually and remote. That's not a problem at all. Our typical clientele is really all over the board from age and geographic.
Well, give us an overview of what RetireWise does, and how do you kind of differentiate yourselves from other financial planners out there?
Yeah, for us, we built a piece called, our framework's called the Retire Happy Framework, right? We all want to retire happy, right?
Absolutely. There you go.
I don't want to retire miserable. I don't know about you guys, but
I know people are going to retire miserable no matter what, but
Well, if you become that old curmudgeon and that kind of stuff, I don't know. That's beyond my scope of services.
There you go.
But you work hard your whole life. We want you to be happy. We want you to enjoy it. And so we built this framework where, yes, we dive into financials and all that, but it's just not about financials. We want to get to know you a little bit, figure out what your retirement why is, what you want to do, and then build a plan and fund it around that. And see how far down that plan we can get. If there's gaps, we'll figure out how to fill those. But we start with, and what I call the base happy factor is, if you break everything down into needs, wants, and wishes, if you can cover that needs category, that's the peace of mind. That's, the sleep well factor at night. Your bills are paid, housing, food, utilities, even some of the fun stuff, your base monthly expenses, right? If we can do that and get you that's the happy factor, then we'll move on to the wants and wishes, those kind of things. So we built this framework kind of going through that process, and it's really all built on math and science as far as, of course, tied to what you want to do and the personal side of things. But the way the models come together as far as how we plan, it's a lot of thought went through it, really tied back to even people that Nobel Prize winners and PhDs in economics and finance have put together concepts around retirement planning that we kind of follow and mesh them all together.
So it kind of sounds like Retire Happy makes you guys kind of the samurai of financial planners or something. I like that.
Exactly, man. We bring out the nunchucks.
You got the secret sauce there. That's great. So we believe, well, we know that a lot of our audience members here on Construction Disruption own their own businesses. They may be in the AEC space or maybe something else, but I'm just kind of curious, how does that seem to impact your clients' approach to retirement? Do you find that business owners typically are less prepared for retirement financially, or more prepared, or maybe no different than everyone else?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we do have quite a few business owners. And the first, my gut reaction to that is that most business owners are less prepared because they're concentrated on their business. And as a business owner myself, of course, I'm in the retirement space, so I'm doing that. But I can empathize because you're so concentrated on your business and getting that running and moving forward. A lot of times you're not thinking about things down the road for yourselves. Or what we get a lot is business owners come to us and, they're getting closer to retirement. And this is kind of true for everybody though, when you think about it. Everybody has that oh crap moment where, your kids are graduated from high school or college, you have your first grandbaby or whatever it is, you have that life moment. They go, wait, I got to start turning the attention to me and what my future holds. Business owners are no different. Sometimes they catch on to that a little bit later. But the way I look at it is, it's never too late to start. Everybody deserves a plan. Let's figure out where you're at. I would encourage business owners, though, when you start a business, or if you're just hearing this now and you have a business, just pause for a minute and start thinking about that, because there are action items and plans and things you can do, whether, however big or small it may be, to get that started for you. And it can be in an array of different things. Just like everybody's retirement plan is not a one size fits all. Everybody's business, is a little bit different, and we can help you figure that out.
I think a lot of business owners sometimes will just assume, well, someday I'll sell my business and that will fund my retirement. But I've seen so many people go down that path. And for whatever reason, when they go to sell their business, they find out it isn't worth nearly what they had hoped it would be worth. And so it kind of leaves them in a bad spot. So it sounds like, you're happy to help someone with a plan, no matter their age or life point. But gosh, if they come to you earlier, you can probably get them a whole lot better prepared, I suspect.
Yeah, it makes it easier, and this financial plan and retirement plan is one of those things that everybody kind of says, yeah, I got to do that. I'll get to that. I got to do that. And it keeps on getting kicked down the road, right? If you can start the old, of course, if you can start earlier, the easier it is, because it's not as sacrificial, I should say, if you start earlier, right? You don't have to put away as much to get to that goal. But if you waited a little bit, start. Don't matter. Don't be embarrassed about where you're at. Just let's start. Let's figure it out and how to get there. But for the younger generation out there, if you're listening, yeah, make it easier on yourself. And life happens. You're going to put a plan in place. Life's going to happen. We're going to pivot and adjust. But then you get back up on it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Something I think is kind of interesting. A lot of times folks who are in the construction industry, I mean, maybe they're a contractor or maybe they're even on the design end of things, but a lot of times they sort of have irregular income patterns. I mean, you may go through a period of time where, the cash is just rolling in, and then you go through a tight time. What tips would you have for them with retirement planning if they do have that pretty sort of irregular up and down income?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really is. You still got to have a plan, and it's all into the tracking of it and the mindset. So you want to have a plan, and then those months or those periods of time where you're not putting as much aside, you track that and figure out how much you need to catch up later on. But the biggest thing is not getting discouraged in it. The plan can be adjusted and it can be reworked, but it doesn't mean that you have to totally go off the preservation, right? You don't have to totally change your plans. Let's keep toward the eye on the goal. Don't get discouraged. We'll just track that and remember during the good times to replenish that. Just like if you're a person that has an emergency savings and you have to dip into it to go fix the car or your dishwasher just blew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to replenish that emergency fund. You kind of want to do the same concept with your retirement planning is let's keep tabs on it and see if we can't replenish it if we can.
Very interesting. I know that over the years, there have been a lot of new vehicles developed for retirement planning, financial planning. What are some of the ways that you have seen retirement planning change over the years with sort of, changing programs are out there, changing economic landscape, even changes in culture? I mean, do you find that people maybe are starting to think differently about it than they used to with different generations? I'm just curious.
No, for sure. And I tell people all the time, look, retirement planning today is not what it was for our parents or grandparents. It's a little bit different. One of the biggest reasons is, no longer are companies offering pensions. Only about 7% of companies offer a pension when you start with them. And then the ones that do have a pension, about 50% of them are underfunded. That's a whole nother story for another day that you want to make sure we look at. But so it used to be, hey, you got Social Security, you had a pension and maybe a little bit of savings that supplemented that a little bit. But nowadays, pensions now shifted to 401ks, which puts the onus back on us as individuals to plan our own retirement, right? Back in the day, you just retired and went, hey, great, I'm going to take my pension payment, my Social Security payment. There was nothing to plan. But, now, yes, the money's going into the 401k and other vehicles. But then here's the keys. You got to figure out how to use that after you retire, right? How are you going to regenerate that paycheck? Biggest thing is, not only do you have to diversify your portfolio, it's not just, hey, I'm not going to put all my money in one stock. There's different types of retirement investment vehicles that all serve a different risk. And that has evolved over the years. There's newer things. There's different strategies, especially from what our parents or grandparents were doing.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, probably the day before people will start hearing this podcast when we release it, our country would have embarked on an administration change at the federal level. I'm just kind of curious, any crystal ball ideas on the impact that the new administration might have on retirement planning?
Yeah, those crystal balls are fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. They are in my business too.
I wish I had that crystal ball, but it does have an impact, right? We keep an eye on anything that affects the economy and the markets, and certainly the political environment and the policies that are put in place do that. With the administration coming in, they're probably going to see a little more focus on the economy and the financial structure, those kind of things. Yet to be seen what they're going to be able to implement. There's a lot of ideas being thrown around. There's also a lot of ideas being thrown around that, I think are far-fetched. It'd be great, but you have to pay for it somehow, right? We're going to be in a little wait and see. Anytime we have a change in administration, there's a little bit of turbulence, but overall, I'm positive on the outlook, of where the new administration can take us from a financial standpoint. But there could be changes, right? There are some proposals out there that could affect our retirement planning. And we got to keep an eye on that. And of course, we're going to keep everybody up to date when those things come to fruition. But overall, I'm in a positive light with it.
Sure. Good. I think one of the things I heard about was the possibility of no longer taxing Social Security. Was that, but on the other hand, most folks, by the time you're drawing Social Security, you're in a pretty low tax bracket anyway. So is it really as great as it sounds?
Well, you know what? I'm great that you bring that up, because taxes in retirement are a huge roadblock or a huge speed bump for people, right? And there's a retirement tax time bomb. I mean, if you don't plan for it right, you could really get hit up, whether it's taxes on your Social Security that a lot of people don't even think your Social Security benefits can be taxed. Required RMDs, or required minimum distributions, requiring you to take money out that throws you in a different tax bracket. There's a lot of different things that we need to plan for. And the Social Security tax thing is very interesting. I would love if they could do that. But here's the thing. They got to fix Social Security first, right? Because if they don't tax Social Security, that just puts Social Security further down the path of being insolvent.
Sure.
Right. So we got to fix Social Security before they can even do that. And there's some proposals out there to fix Social Security. They're not on the floor, but they're in the committees. So we're not too worried about it, but there is going to be some adjustments. I can tell you that.
Yeah, interesting. Any success stories come to mind as far as someone who benefited from RetireWise's approach and your help?
Yeah, this is where it gets into. I love doing what we do. We're blessed to be able to help and serve people. And why we're so passionate is that the biggest thing I enjoy, and I'll tell you an exact story, is when a couple comes in and they don't think they have enough, they're kind of worried about where they're at, that they're not going to have enough for retirement, and they're not really sure what to do. We had a couple. Well, I'll just tell you one recently. They came to one of our classes that we teach. They came in and they saw us, and you could just kind of see they were tense about it. And when you're talking to them, they were just really worried about where they were going to end up and what they were going to be able to do. And they wanted to do a lot of different things. I mean, of course, provide for themselves, but they also wanted to have a little bit of fun and do some charity work and those kind of things. But they really didn't think it was possible. And I love the look that comes over their face, and their shoulders go down and they get relaxed when you tell them they're going to be okay. Right? They had accounts that were all over the place. They had several different accounts from different employers, different savings, all these different things all over the board, but they didn't have a plan. Right? And here's the thing, guys, is you got to have not just an accumulation plan, you have to have a drawdown plan. So we put a drawdown plan in place for them that really laid out a roadmap to how they're going to spend that money in retirement, and where it's going to come from. And here's the thing is most people, well, I don't say most people, but a lot of people don't have to have as much as you may think you have to need, right? It really depends on a lot of different circumstances. But they came in not thinking they had enough, came out of the office after obviously a meeting or two, putting the plans together, having that happy factor and that peace of mind that, hey, they're going to be able to enjoy their retirement. It's really sometimes it's just about organizing it and planning it out the right way.
So let's say we have a listener out there who has done absolutely nothing so far, and maybe they are younger. Let's say they're in their early 30s or something. Other than enlisting the help of your firm, what are some practical steps that they could take right now to improve their retirement outlook?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first thing is start.
Sure.
Right. But you want to get back to being disciplined on a monthly, setting aside money on a monthly basis. If you're not participating in your 401k, start right now. Take advantage of the matches. If you have a 401k at your company, I love 401ks because it encourages people to save for retirement and take advantage of the match. That's free money, free returns. But I also recommend people don't put more into your 401k than what the company's matching, because you can take that money and do much better elsewhere outside of the 401k. We can explain that for days, but because you got more options, more flexibility. But first step is make sure you're taking advantage of what's available to you. The other thing is a lot of people don't like to budget, and I'm not here to tell you have to be a guru on budgeting and be all strict about it, but do it at least for a little while to track your expenses, to figure out how much can you set aside. Right? A lot of people don't. They get a paycheck and they just spend the money, and they have money left, and they just go on to the next month. Of course, I love budgeting, but at the same time, track where your spending is going. If you don't think you have enough, well, track it for a few months and see where your discretionary spending going. And then let's weigh the opportunity cost, right? Okay, is buying the 6 things at Starbucks every week, worth it? Or is it worth to put a few bucks in your retirement account? What's the opportunity cost of not saving for retirement, right? Go into it with that mindset. Enjoy life by all means. But also see where you can really carve out a little bit to save aside if you're not.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Good advice. So let's say someone does want to engage RetireWise to help them out. What does that look like for them to get started with you folks?
Yeah, so we have a free consultation. You set up a meeting with us. We just get to know you. You get to know us a little bit, learn about you and what you want to do in retirement, where you're currently at. We'll tell you about us and how we do things. See if it's a fit for you and a fit for us. And then we'll do that first initial analysis, and we'll even give you the first pass at a plan, all part of the consultation. We're firmly believe in, about people being educated with the right retirement planning. And we love what we do, and we're confident in how we build plans that we hope that you choose to, move forward with us. But it's a simple process. Go through that free consultation. We build a plan, see if it works for you. And then we'll decide, see what the next steps are after that. We try to do the heavy lifting. A lot of people don't like talking about their money and they're very, all that kind of stuff. Well, we try to make it easy. And I tell people, look, if we weren't friends before you came to work with us, we're going to be friends afterwards. We're going to get to know you, do that journey with you.
Well, I love that. Good stuff. Now, I know that in your spare time, I'm sure you got tons of that, you also have a podcast. Tell us a little bit about your show and what you do there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So my podcast is called The Priority of Retirement. It's named after my book that's also The Priority of Retirement. And we named it that just for that fact, the priority. So many people, as we discussed earlier, put off planning for retirement, or I'm going to get to it another day like we talked about. Let's make it a priority, because you know what? Making it a priority in planning and putting a little bit of time into you is going to, investing in your future to have a solid 20, 30 years of retirement that you can enjoy. So let's make it a priority. Let's, we all work, so we can enjoy that retirement. Let's put the right plan in place to do it. So on that podcast, we have all kinds of guests on, from colleagues in the industry to other planners to estate planners, Medicare people. Sometimes we just have clients on to talk about, their experiences, or people that aren't clients, they're just talking about their retirement. So pretty well-rounded, just to kind of get different flavors and talk through what is retirement planning.
Well, I think that's fascinating. And, we all get inspired or get ideas or, whatever by listening to other stories. So I love that. And that's a power of podcasting for sure.
Yes, sir.
So your book, The Priority of Retirement, if someone's interested in that, how can they get it? Is it Amazon, or can they buy it through your website, or how can they most easily get it?
Yeah, the easiest way is it's on Amazon. Just search for The Priority of Retirement. It's out there. You can get it paperback, hardback, audiobook, Kindle, all that jazz out there. It's easy to find. Oh,
great. Very good. Well, we encourage folks to do that. Well, gosh, you've been a great guest, been a good discussion. We're thankful for the time today. We're close to wrapping up kind of what we call the business end of things. Anything we haven't covered today that you'd sure like to share with our audience?
I appreciate that. My biggest message to everybody is get started. But the biggest thing is what I alluded to earlier is only about 10% of Americans have a true retirement plan. A lot of times you ask, there was a Harvard study done, and it asked people, thousands of people, if they had a retirement plan, and they said yes. Well, okay, when they asked the next question, they dug into what they had was an account. They didn't have a plan, right? And then if you dug a little bit deeper into it, they had an accumulation plan. Yeah, I'm setting aside X amount a month or whatever. But only 10% of people actually had that drawdown distribution plan. That's where the magic happens. That's where what makes your retirement the happy piece, that gives you the peace of mind. Is you got to have that drawdown phase accounted for. That's what we love to do. I encourage people, whether you work with us or anybody else, to just get that drawdown plan in place so you can have that happy retirement. Great. I love it. Well, thank you again. Before we close out, I have to ask you if you're willing to participate in what we call our rapid fire questions. So, Shawn, these are 7 questions. Some may be serious, some may be a little less serious. All you have to do is give a response. Are you up to the challenge of rapid fire, having no idea what we're about to ask you? A little scared, but let's do it. Okay.
Well, we can alternate asking questions. Ryan, would you like to ask the first one?
I would love to. Question number 1. What is a product or service you've acquired recently that was kind of a real game changer for you?
Product or service? We really started expanding services in holistic stances. We have always factored in estate planning because that's really part of the equation. But now we have tools and partners that make that process so much even smoother for people. And it just makes for a more well-rounded relationship and one-stop shop for people.
Love it. Good stuff. So you told us earlier that the 8th grade Shawn was involved in this stock market game. And I remember doing that in middle school also. So I was right there with you. But I'm curious, go back a few years before that. What did the 8-year-old Shawn Maloney want to be when he grew up?
I love that question. In fact, in part of my bio, I talk about even at the young age of kindergarten, I remember going out, grabbing my mom and dad's junk mail, right, and playing Office, right. I went outside and played like a normal kid, but I was probably a little geeky as well, where I played Office. I always wanted to be a business owner, right. I always wanted to be that businessman. And then in the 8th grade, the whole stock thing came around with the financiers, like, oh, let's put those two together.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, you just reminded me of something that's not quite like that, but similar I did as a child too that I haven't thought about in ages. So good stuff.
Next question. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 10 years into the future?
Wow, that's a deep question. You know what? Probably 10 minutes. You know what? Because, we're going to live our life. Life's a journey. We're walking our journey and God has a purpose for us all, and we're going to get there one way or the other. We're just going to live it one step at a time. So
Great answer. Okay, next question. This one's a little more silly. Would you rather be chronically underdressed or chronically overdressed for the occasion?
Well, from an embarrassment factor, probably overdressed. While I like to be more casual, I don't like to be embarrassed either. So I'll go with the overdressed.
My wife and I attended a wedding recently, and I had never been to a wedding before where it said this, but it said formal attire. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means. I don't have a lot of formal attire in my closet these days. So I lived for several months very nervous that I was going to show up entirely inappropriately dressed. But in the end, it all worked out.
Next question. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both, but more early bird. We're early riser. I used to be more of a late owl. Now I'm getting older and get tired quicker. So I'm going to go with early.
Man, I fall asleep on the couch about 7 o'clock every night anymore. Crazy. Okay, next to last question. What is the strangest food you have ever eaten?
I don't know, probably just venturing off into some different kind of seafoods and stuff like octopus and that kind of stuff. I like a lot of different things, but I'll go with that. That's probably, didn't want to try that, but I was like, okay, I can try it once.
There you go.
Okay, final question, pivoting here a little bit into something more serious. What would you like to be remembered for at the end of your days on Earth?
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Really just being someone that was willing to serve and help others, and be willing to do that with a smile on their face and not expecting anything in return. Just service oriented.
Servant leadership. I love it. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Shawn. This has been great. Thank you for your time today. For anyone who wants to get in touch with you or, perhaps learn more about RetireWise and what you folks do, what are some of the best ways for them to do that?
Yeah, easiest things probably go out to the website. It's retirewisepro.com. We're actually in the middle of redoing the website, so check it out now and then check it out in a few weeks. It's going to be all new. Give you an initial surprise. So retirewisepro.com, hit us up. You can email me at Shawn Maloney at retirewisepro, but you can just go to the website. You can find our social links there, email, phone calls, all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. And we will put that information in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
So I think we all got in our challenge words, didn't we? Shawn, your word was?
Conundrum.
And you got it in there, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. And Ryan, you saved it for the last minute. You had us on the edge of our
Always
seat.
do.
Okay.
My word was pivot.
You got pivoted there. And I had samurai, which I stumbled when I said. I thought, oh, that's a dead giveaway when you stumble when you're saying it. But anyway.
I think you still pulled it off.
Yeah, well,
We'll give you credit.
thank you. I appreciate your grace, that's for sure. Well, thank you again, Shawn. This has been a pleasure. We enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to our audience for tuning into this episode of Construction Disruption with Shawn Maloney of RetireWise. Please watch for future episodes of our podcast. We always have great guests. Don't forget to leave a review for us. We love those thumbs up. Until the next time we're together, though, keep on disrupting, keep on challenging things in your world, looking for better ways of doing things. And don't forget to have a positive impact on everyone you encounter. Make them smile and encourage them. So God bless and take care. This is Isaiah Industries signing off until the next episode of Construction Disruption.
This podcast is produced by Isaiah Industries, manufacturer of specialty metal roofing and other building products.